Welcome, CNG 132 Online. Welcome to week 13. Only a few more weeks until we're done here. Did I don't think I received any emails from anybody this week. But week 13, each course starts to dive into their little like subsets that make them special. With your course, 132, we look at creating a security policy. And we basically come up with our own security policy. Whoa. And I'm just Googling security policy template on my other screen just to make sure I get a somewhat secure search. So I Googled exactly security policy template and came up to the SANS webpage. SANS is a great place to start. You're going to end up, if you're going into security, cybersecurity, you're going to have this. SANS is going to be one of the main places you go for information. There are a few other. I'll get you the link to them. I haven't used the other ones in a long time. I want to say one's DWGR. But anyways, it has to do with government security, mobile devices. I will look in the old news of past classes to retrieve those again. But anyways, if you start to do searches, you'll find that security policy templates are really everywhere, and there's some people that even help you make security policy templates. Your goal as a student before the end of the semester is to make 2 security policy templates, and basically you're going to follow their outline. It's easy to get 2 pages. Your assignment should be 3 pages or a little bit more. But as you write the security policy, this one's a clean desk policy. You're going to have your overview, your purpose, your scope, your policy, and then policy compliance. You might have 6 and 7, but when you follow this framework, make sure you have the titles. I think these are title ones in Word. So make sure you have these titles in these sections and say, okay, this is what Clean Desk Policy is supposed to do. This is why you're doing it. And this policy applies to your fictional company or your real company as you walk away. I have a side business. I have a data storage policy where I say, as soon as I'm done working on someone's project, I simply delete the data and get it off my system, because that's something I don't want to have or to be responsible for, is somebody else's data. And then let's see, policy, file cabinets, you list what it's supposed to do, and then your policy compliance, what happens how are you going to enforce this? Are there any exceptions? And then 6, related standards and policies. Now, if you did 2 policies that were close, say a clean desk policy plus a paper shredding policy, maybe they go hand in hand, where if you have any unused, or if you're getting rid of documents on your desk, they must be shredded. Yeah. So those will relate. And any terms or definitions that we do not know about, make sure to put that in there. I can't think of anything with the clean desk or paper shredding that has new vocabulary. Yeah, and then you can put the revision history. Since this is your first policy, you probably won't have a revision history, but it'll just be this policy. I usually get questions on what we're supposed to do, what you're supposed to be doing with the security policy. Remember, it's supposed to be 2 policies and follow the framework of the SANS Institute. If you copy and paste it, I will consider it plagiarism, give you a 0 on it, and notify Front Range. You just make sure you're changing the words. I've only done that once. I'll show it again. In here it says company name a few times. Where was it? Right here, company name, and I believe it says it somewhere else. but a student turned them in where it said like company name, and I'm like, no. I was like, you didn't work at anything. You didn't put in any work to change the document to make it your own words. You simply just copied other work and put it there as your own. So that will be your security policy submission. For your test scores, if we go to the content, syllabus, you should have Kaplan 180 day access for the SYO 501 Security Plus test. That's retrieved at the online Larimer bookstore. As you see here, tests are worth 25% of your grade. We have 4 tests total in this course. So if you missed any sort of test and want to make up that score, or if you got, say you got B's on your test and you want A's, start doing that Kaplan. Get a score of 70 or better on the pre-tests, and then submit some sort of document showing me that you submit the document here showing me that you got the score. Students have done selfies. That's the most popular one. Selfies. They've taken the test on Twitch. They've taken the test recorded and sent me the recording. That was kind of big, so they just sent me the link to the recording, actually. But prove to me that you got 70 or better on the Security Plus pre-tests, or I should say Security Plus preparations, and your test scores get boosted that way. Looking at the other stuff, essays are 15% of your score, discussions 20% of your score. I myself am a student, and you probably hear this if you've taken a semester from me or another class. I know real life can get in the way for students. Something happens where you either forget an activity, or you need a little bit more time in an activity. My stance is that you have until the end of the semester to do your work. This end of the semester will be on December 10th. That's an extra 2 days that you have to complete assignments and get those in. I want you guys to walk away with the scores that you want out of each and every one of my courses. So once again, make sure to get all your work in, and turn that in. That's part of the step is doing the work and turning it in. If you're missing essays, go back and write that essays. If you're not happy with your essay score, go back, look at my feedback, and redo those essays. If you missed discussions, 20% of your grade right there. If you missed any sort of discussions, or if you got a 7 or an 8, go back and do those discussions. Quizzes, easy to do, easy to punch out. Projects from text, more time consuming, but worth a lot more than your quizzes. And that's the way to really start approaching the class, is starting to say, okay, what's worth the most? How am I going to get a bigger bang for my buck as I attack these? Final exam, 15% of your grade, covers the whole book. So make sure you're kind of going back and reviewing things that we've covered. But as we reach into chapter 13, 14, and 15, it's going to kind of bring everything together, and you're going to see it come into one topic there. Let's go back here. Week 13. So week 13, we're looking at vulnerability assessment. Once again, one of those final chapters that kind of bring everything together. Sit back and evaluate everything at once. We're going to look at penetration testing versus vulnerability assessment. Realize that those are two different things. Vulnerability assessment is usually done by the inside IT department, where pen testing is usually a third party, and you hire them to come and test your security stance from an outside in, and from an insight in kind of stance. Penetration testing, more costly than vulnerability scanning. Third party, so you get no bias towards this. Describe techniques for data privacy and security, and just a little bit of review there. And that's it. We look at port scanning for the projects this week, which are pretty cool because port scanning basically use a web tool to see how secure you are wherever you are. And I say that with a question mark because you could be at school, run the port scanner, and see how the school's set up, and then go home and run the port scanner again to see what your local security settings are, and kind of like look at them and say, you know what, I remember at school this was checked or this was turned off, but here, I have this open. Maybe that's not the most secure posture, but maybe you make a tweak in that. And I believe that's all for this week. Start preparing for the final. I will give you guys, in the last week, I'll give you guys the old skilled final I used to hand out. It's not required. Just use it as to see, use it as a gauge to see exactly what you learned in this course. We covered a lot, and you guys made it really far. Be proud of that accomplishment. Have a good week. Let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you soon.